Hey everybody, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg here with Sarah and Toby. Tonight we're going to be talking about The Boys, Season 3, Episodes 1 to 4.
So, let me say it again, Cam. I may be a superhero, but I'm also just a man who fell in love with the wrong woman. Just a man who fell for the wrong woman. Fell for the wrong woman. But out of crisis comes change. Out of crisis comes change. So I spent the last year really slowing down and reconnecting with myself. And I am very excited for everyone to meet the real me.
There's quite a lot to get through here. We're at episode 4 already. There is lots of characters, lots of things going on, lots of action. So there's
lots of death.
Yeah, lots of killing and all sorts of weird stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through it sort of episode by episode and give you a bit of a rundown. Be aware there's obviously going to be spoilers in this, and we're going to talk openly about this. So I'm sorry if you've not seen it, but you're going to find out some of the spoilers here,
some of the gruesome details.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously at the end of season 2, again, I mean, these series are really complicated and they've got so much that's going on around them. But one of the main things that kind of which follows into the next series is that Stormfront, the sort of evil villain woman, turned out to be a Nazi, and so at the beginning of this, you see them creating the new film that they've been going on about, the Dawn of the Seven, and this time they've changed it so that they're taking down Stormfront at the end. And there was a funny little snip there, wasn't there? Because they had Charlize Theron in playing Stormfront as them, fighting at the end. And it's all
nice little cameo.
Yeah, nice little cameo.
She's got a cameo in every superstar. Like she was at the end of Stranger Things as well.
Yeah, well, she's going to be in that. So
yeah.
Oh, is she? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, we see him at the beginning. It's like the premiere of the actual thing. You can see that Starlight and Huey are together. Homelander is being his usual self. And then we find out that there's now this Bureau of Superhuman Affairs. Huey's gone to work for them. You saw that at the end of the last season as well. He's approached Victoria Newman, who's a senator, and it's a year later. They've been working together for a year, trying to keep superheroes in line, and a bit of a turn of the thing. Butcher is now working for Huey as a sort of secret squad that go around and check out things. So right near the beginning there, you see Butcher go off to a party. He's had a bit of a tip. He goes off to a party for as a superhero there called the Termite. I mean, it's a terrible name. It's a terrible name for a superhero.
Yeah, there are some really bad names going all the way along this show.
But I think that's
tongue in cheek, isn't it?
It's tongue in cheek. Yeah, it's a tongue in cheek side of it, isn't it? Which is really good.
Oh yeah,
it's taking a piss out of it, really, isn't it?
It comes straight from the comics as well. Let's not forget that this is all based upon the comics.
That's right. Yeah. And there's this really this guy's enjoying the party. Then he goes off with this bloke, and there's this really disgusting bit. I think
this guy, the Termite shrinks down to a very small man, a very small person, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a bit like Ant-Man, isn't he? He's like Ant-Man. He can shrink down and jump back up to size. And
but he's been sniffing drugs, so he's
cocaine and stuff. That's right.
He's when he sneezes, he can sometimes go large again.
He can't control his power when he sneezes, which seems a bit weird. I think that's a bit weak, but it's obviously
sort of a bit contrived, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was for the gross out effect, wasn't it? It was totally, there was no plot line to this. This was just a way of doing something a bit sick, because obviously there's a bit where the guy gets his dick out and he shrinks down and goes inside. Oh God, I can't believe I'm actually saying this. He goes inside his
his knob and has a good feel around, doesn't he?
And he's obviously enjoying it.
I mean, I thought that having catheters inserted in your knob was quite painful. This guy obviously quite enjoys it.
He does. It's very strange. And then suddenly he sneezes and expands and blows the guy to that bit is really
so when we watched that, Ian was like, but surely he wasn't inside his body, so why did his whole body explode? Why didn't his dick just explode?
Well, that's true, but I guess the space that he occupies is body size. So he
expands probably in all directions, doesn't he? So,
yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're right.
It's pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Maybe he got quite far down inside by that point.
Maybe. The and Frenchie, he obviously started pulling Frenchie around.
That's right. I thought
it was quite clever.
Yeah, that was quite good. And again,
Butcher catches him in a bag of cocaine.
Takes him about. And
yeah.
So it was a very strange beginning, wasn't it? That sort of alarmed me a little bit. But yeah. Back at this bureau, then there's a strange bloke that turns up, a guy called Tony, who's claiming that Victoria is actually someone called Nadia, but he gets hoisted out of the area. Butcher is also visiting Homelander's son. You know, he took him away from Homelander at the end of season 2.
Yeah,
when all the stuff happened with Stormfront. He's actually in the care of the CIA agent Mallory.
Yeah,
who's looking after
they're looking after the boy because he's really the only leverage they've got over Homelander. So that he's vital to the cause.
Yes,
but he's also potentially going to be as powerful as Homelander, which in the future might be quite useful.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess that's largely what the series is about, how to deal with Homelander, and there's lots of ways
how to destroy Homelander.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about, but there's lots of options as we'll find out as we go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Homelander keeps having these interviews and being asked about why didn't you know about Stormfront being a Nazi, and how did you not know? And he's having all the time, this is winding him up and getting him more and more, you know, losing his shit. You know, he's really sort of getting pissed off by it all.
Yeah.
You know, Edgar, the CEO, Edgar is also pushing a new product, a V product that gives you 24 hours of superpowers, you know, and he's trying to get one of the senator guys to take it on, and you know it's like a couple of million
for the army
each shot for you know, so he's sort of talking that through, but the senator says it's not going to happen now, you know, now that we know all this about the V, it's like, you know, totally unpopular. And then also Edgar at this point, he's trying to keep Homelander under control, and he also doesn't respond well, does he, to Homelander? He's always trying to sort of force him into submission. And so one of the things he does is he makes Starlight co-captain of the Seven, because her approval ratings are through the roof. You know, she's actually a good superhero, not one of the ones abusing her powers.
And there aren't that many good superheroes, are there?
No, exactly. And his ratings have dropped off, you see. So she's getting that power of being popular and so on. You also see as sideline sort of things, A-Train and the Deep, you know, their little side stories and how desperate they are to get back into the Seven. You see a bit of Maeve. You know, Maeve she's also trying to, she wants to kill Homelander, you know, mainly because of what happened on that plane, you know, and what he made her do on the plane, and that really affected her.
It's not just that, is it? It's just everything. He's just controlling everything, isn't he?
Absolutely.
They all absolutely hate him, and he's just so evil to the core.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, we begin to see that Homelander is doing everything he can to leverage his power back, because they've got the video footage of him on the plane. They've got the child over him. They've got his ratings.
There's a turning point, isn't there? Which comes a bit later on.
Yeah, there is. But we see in these early ones, we see in these early ones that he's highlighting. They're highlighting what is controlling Highlander. Yes, and of course we will see how he then breaks that down.
Exactly. Now Maeve has been giving information to Butcher. That's how I knew about the Termite going to the party and this sort of thing. And then she tells him about this. There's a weapon, you know, The stories about the soldier boy being killed by some sort of atomic explosion is supposedly rubbish, and she's saying there's a weapon that killed him, you know, and he was almost as powerful as Homelander. So she's thinking, right, we've got to find this weapon, trying to get Butcher, and she then also gives him 3 or 4 of these little vials of this V24 hour, you know, super drug. And Butcher's like, whoa, you know, I don't know if I should use this and all this sort of thing. Anyway, that comes out later, which is great fun, actually. Then there's a little bit where Homelander actually approaches Butcher, you know, and they have a kind of a sit down together and a little bit of a, you know, I'm fucking hating all these people controlling us all the time. Why don't we have a scorched earth approach to everything from now on, you know? And he's like, yeah, fucking hell yeah, you know, Butcher. So there's that real sort of, you know, they both
that's kind of one of the early signs, isn't it? Early signs that things are going to get crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And then towards the end of that episode, this guy Tony, who just turns up from somewhere, follows Victoria, and she takes him down an alley, and they have a chat. And he tries to sort of say, oh, you know, come on, you're in the limelight, I'm not, you know, and I'm struggling, and and they get into an argument, and she end up blowing his head up. But Huey had seen them go off together, and he'd followed them and was lurking behind a dumpster, and he suddenly finds out she's a bloody soup, you know, and she's got lots of, you know, she's the one that's blowing up. Because again, at the end of the second series, suddenly there was like a Senate meeting where the person's head blew off, and you know, she killed the head of that church organization that were trying to control things and trying to, you know, have leverage over Vought and all that sort of thing. So, you know, we suddenly realized, she's a blooming, you know, soup. Damn it.
We thought that maybe she might have some goodness about her, maybe has good motives, but really she's down to protecting herself.
And her daughter.
And her daughter.
Yeah. So into the second, so that was kind of the end of the first episode. He's like, in the second episode, we then sort of see, you know, we pick up with Butcher. He's contemplating, shall I use this drug? You know, he keeps thinking about this drug. He's having a dream about it. And he's having conversations with the kids, you know, they're kind of getting on, you know, the boy is obviously wanting a father figure or someone to show some interest in him. There's also a new superhero that's kind of on the scene, who's an old flame of Starlight's, a guy called Supersonic. He was once in a boy band, a superhero boy band, doing some really cringy, horrible, you know, now you're 16 sort of thing, you know, and the songs.
Yeah, and it's all part of a competition that's running.
That's right.
The Starlight is the judge of it. It's like the X Factor.
That's right.
That's one? Right. Who's going to join the 7?
Yes.
And they're opening out as a contest, and they have other superheroes
because they've lost a few members, haven't they, of the group?
The Deep, for instance, has gone.
Yeah.
But I think the Deep is a popular character with the fans.
Yes.
So they've worked him back into the script, even though he doesn't really have much to do, does he? He's just a bit of a fun factor.
He is
in the whole scheme of things.
They use him as a little bit of a joke, don't they? And
they do,
and they come up with some funny things for him to, you know, sort of be involved in. Anyway, so
his wife is really manipulative, though.
Yeah.
She's desperate, isn't she?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. But so is he. He wants to be back in the team, doesn't he?
Yeah.
They're as bad as each other.
Highlander does to him. Kind of
sexy, you know. Yeah. So Homelander, who's obviously feeling threatened at this stage, he's trying his best to sort of get a bit, you know, stamp a bit of authority on things. You know, he's changing Starlight's scripts when she's on things, but then you see Edgar step in again and stop him and say, look, she's the important one now. Your ratings are going down, you know, which obviously doesn't go down very well. Butcher goes to get it was called Mother's Milk, wasn't he? The
Mother's
guy?
Milk.
Yeah.
It's because he in the comics he drinks his mother's milk, which gives him powers actually. In the
Oh,
comic.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, he in the first episode has dropped out. He's looking after his daughter a lot and trying to sort of stay away from it all, but he can't, can he? He's
No.
struggling to stop himself from being involved. So Butcher goes back to him and says, I need your help to track, work out what went on with this soldier boy. But there's a family history with that, this guy had killed some of his family and so on. So I think Butcher knows that he can get him on side to help him with this because it's such an important thing to him. Then you got Frenchie and Kamiko.
Kamiko,
yeah, they're sort of sent in to go. They go to Vortland. Where they got all the rides with the Homelander, rides and things.
There's quite a lot of the incorporating the mythos of the series into the background. So you see the funfair, but you also see lots of press and the making of adverts and they spend quite a lot of time on that and using that as plot as part of the plot.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I like
it
that
makes it real
thing. Sometimes I think about like RoboCop, when they've got lots of adverts and things of like the future things that are going on, and it feels a little bit reminiscent of that kind of approach. Or the other one was Starship Troopers, where they've got all the sort of
that's a good one actually. That is a good link. Yeah, that is very true.
So they've gone to this Vortland and they're looking for Crimson Countess, who was in a relationship with Soldier Boy.
So
they try and question her. They kind of go in there and try and grab her, don't they, really? And she gets away. And I always love how in these series innocent bystanders can just be blown up so easily, and there's no repercussions for the superheroes at all, is there really?
Everyone just explodes, don't they?
That fire thing, and she blows up the guy is dressed up as a Homelander sort of you just go into a big ball.
It is interesting, isn't it? Whether they've obviously decided that way people are going to die in this is just becoming a squishy mess. There's a lot of that.
Totally.
When that girl falls off the building, she's a squishy mess as well, even though she's just landed.
We didn't see what she landed on, did we? Could have been something.
But it's true. It did seem like everybody was just going to explode. I mean, there's an argument to say that the powers that they use affects their bodies in different ways, but I don't. It seems a bit. It's just purposely gory, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's done for effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously Huey, who had seen his boss, is a soup, is now starting to struggle with going back to work, and he then decides, I'm going to go and see if I can investigate this a bit more. He goes to an adoptive school, and where they have kids that have all got powers, and he manages to steal some information and finds out that she was adopted by Edgar. That there's that link then with the Vought again. And he's then coming around to the idea, holy shit, it's all rigged, it's all Vought. They got all the fingers and everything.
He's not making any difference.
The only way to do this is to go back with the boys and to fight them how we've been fighting them.
Kill Homelander.
Exactly. A Butcher at this point has then gone to some sort of convention. I think it was a guns convention, or was it just a convention? But he meets another superhero character, Gunpowder, and he used to be part of this team that Soldier Boy was in. Payback. I love it. Like you got the Avengers, and you got Payback. It's that kind of ridiculous sort of names they're having to come up with, to sort of be similar but make fun of it.
Satirical.
But then there was a good little bit of action there. He then tried, because Butcher questions him and says, were you noshing him off, were you, and all this sort of thing. And no, it wasn't anything like that. And then Butcher goes back to his car, and then he's shot at by the old Gunpowder guy. There's a good bit where he shoots that thing and he smashes it off the wall
Yeah.
and through the glass, and it catches him on the face, and a couple of good little bits like that, which is nice to see. But obviously Butcher manages to get away at that point. This is the point where you're talking about the suicide jumper. You know, it's Homelander's birthday. He always has he always does a save on his birthday, and he goes up to this roof, doesn't he, where the woman's trying to throw herself off the building. And he's sort of saying to her, "You're lucky, you know, I'm saving you on my birthday," sort of thing. And then they look up at the billboard, and you see the old PR woman down the bottom there going, "Oh shit, you know, don't let it," you know. And you see this massive billboard. An old Stormfront has committed suicide. I mean, you saw Homelander go and see her a couple of times in the previous episode, and she was all burnt and all, you know, just a half an arm, and
and he kind of turns up and flops his penis in her hand, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and all she can do is wank him off. She's just like this corpse lying there with a little bit of action in her hand.
Yeah, but then she starts saying to him, you know, sort of Nazi, sort of like, you know, we're the super race and all that, sort of, you know, white supremacy, you know.
She's still convinced that they are the chosen ones.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and at that point, that when she says that, that's almost the end. That's almost the end of her.
Yeah,
it is. At that point, you know, then anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So then Homelander sees this, and it's like, oh God, you know, and it sets him off, you know. He gets upset by this and starts talking to this woman and saying, you know, why are people giving me so much hard time, and all this sort of speak, you know,
self-pitying speak that he often
spews. Exactly. Well, they're always, you know, against us and that sort of thing. I'm the Superman sort of thing, you know. They should be doing as I'm telling them. And then he basically orders her to jump off the roof, doesn't he? Because he's like, I'm not going to say, you know,
the suicide,
and she's like, no, and then on the floor.
exactly. But then a little bit after that, he's then on a live broadcast with Starlight. She's talking about, oh, we're going to have this foundation, and he's getting pissed off. He's really pissed off by being sidelined a bit with Starlight.
Yeah.
So he says, no, I'm not donating 10 million. Fuck you. I'm the fucking superhero. I shouldn't have to take this shit. Right.
Live in front of the world.
Yeah. Basically does a whole speech about, you know, none of you are special. I'm the special one, and you need me. I'm the superhero. Fuck the lot of you, sort of attitude. Which obviously Edgar's sitting in the crowd thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, you know, this guy's a nightmare. Then we see Butcher has then taken some of the drug. He then takes the drug. Just before that, he's spoken to Huey, isn't he? He's spoken to Huey, and Huey said it's all bloody rigged, you know, because he's watched that little video that the boy has produced for him, and he's suddenly thinking, no, you're right, Huey, life is good, and you know, and he sounds like. But then Huey's sort of like, no, man, you were right, you know, all bloody rigged, you know, it's Vought, and we've got to fucking get them, and then that's when he says, right, fuck it, I'm gonna take it. He takes the drug.
So at that point, everything changes.
Yes.
That is the point. They take the drug, and then they join the seething mass of suits that are kind of all very self-driven and, you know, corrupt by their power. Yeah. And we already have seen little signs that they're both enjoying it just a bit too much.
Yeah, well, it's only that first bit Butcher takes it, doesn't he? Because he then goes off and confronts this gunpowder guy again. Now that he's got some power, and the guy tries to shoot him, doesn't he? And he said, "Oh, you know, I want to know what happened with Soldier Boy." He pulls his gun and shoots him, and the bullet. He just opens his thing, and the bullets just drop off his chest like Superman, and suddenly he's got power. He's very like Homelander, isn't he? You know,
that is the point.
In his power, you know, that he's invulnerable. He's got, you know, he's strong. He can shoot the lasers out of his eyes. You know, he's suddenly become very powerful. And he beats the guy up, gets the information out of him, and he tells him, actually, you should talk to the CIA, you know, about all that stuff that went on with Soldier Boy. He was part of that, and he said, "Who's the case officer?" And he says, "Oh, it was Mallory." You know, so the woman he's been working for and dealing with has got the information, you know, that he needs. Okay, so moving on to episode 3 then. Obviously Homelander given this speech, you know, they all think that's dire, but the old PR woman comes in and she's like, "You're up 21 points," you know. I mean, he's sitting there completely starkers, isn't he? And she comes running in, starts telling him about all how his things are going up, and then suddenly he's getting, you know, she's like, oh, I can, you know,
something else is going up as well.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's not you.
Yeah. But he has this dawning idea in his brain that if I just say what I feel, if I don't be afraid to be myself, then the people are going to love me, you know. And this is where you suddenly think, oh, fucking hell, you know, he's gonna go batshit crazy.
And Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, he just plays it amazingly at this point.
He is excellent.
He's so believable.
You couldn't pick a better person.
I believe it.
He's brilliant.
I believe it.
He is totally believable as this character.
It is. I'm wondering if the guy in real life actually thinks he's Homelander, you know, because it is that good, isn't it? It's just expressions, isn't it? You just know.
He's got a strange mouth, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
kind of
like
really plays in
or something in his mouth, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen
he's in
else.
Banshee. Have you ever seen Banshee?
No.
And he's got the same shaped face in that, but he's got dark hair naturally, and it's skinhead.
Right.
Yeah.
So he looks different, but he has got that shame. But he's a totally different character in that.
Yeah,
he does play it so
well.
There's
no character like Homelander, is there? Let's face it.
No, he is brilliant, and if they didn't have him in it, it would be a lot worse, wouldn't it? If they just had an average sort of actor, that would just be
it wouldn't be the same.
Wouldn't be the same. I mean, he just the way he plays it. Anyway, so Butcher is feeling the after effects. You know, he's obviously used this V24, and he's been sick and he's having reactions. You know, it's an experimental drug that's not quite honed yet. But he's getting the team back together. So Huey's come back. He's got Mother's Milk back involved. He's got Frenchie. You know, he's got everybody together now. And there's this feeling of, right, we've got to find out where this weapon is so that we can actually kill Homelander.
They've got a goal to kill Homelander.
Yeah, exactly, as a mission now. We see a fair bit of the old, you know, X Factor type soups thing in this, don't we? And you know, I
was a bit bored with that whole element.
It was like there wasn't too much of it. There was a little bit of it, you know. It was mainly to introduce this supersonic character, wasn't it? The old flame, you know. And you know, Starlight is talking to the producers, and they're all saying, "Why? Who's popular? What we got to, you know." And she wants the Muslim woman to be involved, and they're like, "Well, what, you know?" And this other woman, she's really fuckable, you know, and stuff like this, you know. It's kind of very going by the points that they're going to receive from you know, popularity rather than are they a good superhero. So she thinks she's got the authority to put someone in. Anyway, Butcher goes to see Mallory and sort of, you know, confronts her and says, "Look, if you don't tell us, I'm gonna tell everybody who all your agents are, all the names of your agents, so their lives will be in danger." And she then says, "All right, I'll divulge, you know, about this Operation Charlie," not very imaginatively named because it was about cocaine and all that sort of thing, you know. So yeah, it turns out there was back in, I don't know what date, what time period it was, sort of
30 years ago.
30 years ago, something like that. They're basically setting up a drug smuggling, you know, for the CIA to bring some money in to do things, and then they think it'd be a good idea to send some supers in there to help out, you know. And this band are just payback.
They include Soldier Boy, don't they?
They include Soldier Boy, and she said that he's the most ridiculous of them all, you know. And he's always trying to crack on to her, you know. You obviously see a younger actress playing her role, and he's crack, and they're all doing stupid things, you know. He's about to fire a grenade launcher or rocket launcher into the munitions things that. One of them's flying up in the sky, and she's like, "Don't! What the hell? People will see."
Give away our position,
you know, and all this sort of thing.
My favourite bit about that was the Black Noir piece.
Right. Okay.
The story where you find out why he never takes his mask off, which is when he's heavily injured.
Yes.
And in it, he's like, "Oh, I really don't want to have to wear a mask. I want everyone to know what I look like."
No.
And the main guy, Stan. Is it Stan? Yes.
Yes.
Stan,
oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
He says, "You can, okay, fine, don't wear a mask."
Yeah.
And then
I will send you somewhere, where you're a nobody.
Nearly dies. He's got hideous deformities. And if he'd had his mask on, it probably would have saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, so he's lying on the floor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I quite like that element. I quite like that little backstory for him, because the other people we don't really know yet. They're all new characters to us, and he's one of the ones from the original series.
Yeah. I was trying to work out what, because obviously in the last series, Maeve had given him some peanuts, hadn't she? And that would put him into a coma or some sort of thing. Is he? Did we see him at all? Is he okay, or is he still, in danger? I can't remember.
I think he's. Did they say he was on like life support or something?
Yeah, he's died. He's not. He wasn't really in it, was he?
Not this. No.
I know they brought his
history.
That was a history thing, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, so obviously they're going back to the Starlight and choosing the soups. They've decided they're going to choose a supersonic guy. But she's sort of trying to say to him, look, don't accept it. Homelander has lost the plot. He's gone batshit crazy. He's threatened me so many times and all this sort of thing, but he wants to stay because he wants to stand by her and support her, because he had some hard times and she stood by him. And
we're unsure at this point what his motives are.
Yes,
but we learn, and we never suspect that he's a good guy, right? And up until he dies.
Yeah.
So
just giving it all away.
No, spoilers. But this character has no function in the storyline other than be something just talked about a little bit. But he doesn't really. We don't even ever see him use his powers, do we?
No.
It's so weird. That's why I didn't like any of the pop idol element, because although it brought him in, he dies in the next episode.
I know. It was totally strange, wasn't it? And I think they were trying to find ways to shock the audience, so because they were trying to start him up as one of the characters, how they
we thought he may feature.
Yeah, that he might be a bit more of a regular. Because
I thought he was going to betray her. I thought that he was going to betray her and be on Homelander's side, but I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
I thought it might be quite nice for her to have a bit of backup and for there to be more than one good superhero.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There would be.
Yeah, you think
there would be more. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Obviously Homeland, she sort of wanted a different person to be second, but Homelander surprises her and says, no, we're going to have the Deep back, and she's like, no, I don't want that. No, screw you, sort of thing. She then tries to confront Homelander and says, look, have you forgotten about Flight 37?
I'll release the footage.
I've got the footage. I can release that. She tries to threaten him and put him in his place, but he's like, well, fuck you, do it. If you do, obviously I'll lose everything, but then I might just have to go and destroy, the White
Society
House,
as we know it,
and everything, just destroy everything,
Yeah, it's an interesting interesting moment in the film when we really see, the true capability of a superhero that is shoved in front of our eyes. Because the reality of it is, when we watch a lot of these Marvel films and DC films, a character like Superman, if he was ever to be able to just completely go bonkers, he could destroy a lot of the infrastructure of the world before anything was done.
Yeah, you couldn't stop him. You wouldn't be able to stop him. Really,
with real power here. So,
although Superman does have a weakness, doesn't he? Superman does have a weakness, and Homelander doesn't, does he? Not that we know about.
Well, we find out about that in episode 4, don't we?
Well.
No, there are. Okay, we'll discuss that when we get to episode 4.
So obviously he's told the Deep, and the Deep is excited. There was a really funny bit. I thought it was quite funny when he goes in with his, is it his wife or is it his PR woman? I don't know. Goes in, he's having sex with his wife, and there's a big tank, isn't there, on the end of the bed, and then there's a little octopus who's on the thing, and he can hear him talking to him.
He's going like this as well, like
Timmy.
The sex.
He's getting off.
But then Homelander makes him eat it about half an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I can watch that bit.
But the whole bit with the octopus and him getting turned on by what the octopus is saying to him. Do you know what I mean? It just is. It's so
he's
just vile, isn't he?
I hate it.
Yeah,
I don't like that. I don't think they need it.
Yeah, well, it's been.
I find that very funny. I find that stuff really funny. I think that's
horrible.
I just think
they put it in for the laughs, don't they, with him?
Well,
and it
is
funny.
Aquaman gets a lot of criticism because one of his powers has been able to talk to fish, you know what I mean? And so I think this is a sort of
stupid power,
the real take the piss out of Aquaman, you know, and make
it's a parody. The whole comic series is a parody.
But I find that really hilarious. And then, like you said, Sarah, when he's then sitting at the table and saying, "Oh, I bought a special dish for you," and he's like, and he's still alive, the little thing, and he's like, he's saying, "Don't kill me."
He's begging me for his life. His name's Eddie or whatever it was.
Timmy. Was it Timmy? I don't know.
Creepy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
So then his wife's texting him, "Eat it."
Yeah, eat it. Yeah.
Like, oh, she's just as bad as Homeland.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So we go back to Butcher and their group. They obviously hear the whole story about Soldier Boy and all that sort of thing. And he's obviously a bit pissed off, but he then decides he's going to leave, and he falls out with the kid, doesn't he? He's trying to do it to sort of protect the child, you know. You don't want to know me, I'm not really, you know, good enough, sort of thing. He's had to go to the toilet a few times to be sick and all this sort of thing from the
Now this is more than 24 hours after, isn't it?
And he's still getting
the eye power.
I think that was dying down, wasn't it? I think it was the next day. So he took it, you know, and it gives you 24. I think it was just.
It does almost. The implication is that they're almost going to keep these powers through taking this drug.
You don't. Maybe that's something that will happen. Maybe. He's
obviously becoming addicted to it because he was quite happy to then take another dose.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're gonna have a problem with, aren't they? Him and him. So they announce Supersonic as the next member of the thing, and then there's a surprise. You know, the Deep is now, and you'll join Homelander, and with the final surprise being Homelander then suddenly, look, me and Starlight, we're in love, you know, and Homelight.
I thought that was a bit shit.
It was, but he's just trying to find his way to manipulate all the situation, isn't he? And get popularity, because they'd said the two of you together is like a 96% approval rating, you know. No one has ever had, not even Soldier Boy, you know. So he's like, yeah, great. Perhaps we could be. So he's really sort of laying it on, isn't he? And laying down the law.
He likes to be mean as well, and he knows that Starlight hates it, so it makes him happy to do it as well. You know.
Oh, he loves
to be mean.
He loves picking on them all, doesn't he? You know, A-Train. He keeps saying to him, "Oh, stop eating all the food, you fatty," and all this sort of thing, and. Deep, you know, making him eat the octopus and doing other stuff like that to him, you know. He's definitely vindictive, isn't he?
Oh yes.
Horrible. It's so cringy.
Yeah. So episode 4, Huey is talking with with Butcher, and they're talking about what they're going to do, and suddenly Butcher's like vomits all over him, and he works
And
out
it's green.
yeah,
It's bright green.
he works out that he's been taking this V 24, and that bit was I never like sick. That's always the worst bit.
It's your weakness.
Yeah. So Stan Edgar goes to Victoria and asks her, look, Homelander's getting a bit too big for his boots. We need to put him back in line. Can we come up with some charges, something minor, just to sort of keep him in line? But she obviously on the sly goes off and talks to Homelander and turns the tables on Edgar.
Yes.
And it's all to like you said earlier, Sarah, to protect her daughter. She agrees with Homelander to get some of the original blue sort of V drug,
That she injected that into her daughter
I
without
know.
checking. Do you think it's going to kill the daughter?
No, I think that the daughter potentially might turn to something kind of mutated almost, something that's not what she expects. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have
it's a totally crazy thing to do, isn't it?
Did you see the way it rippled through her skin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might. I don't know whether that's just how it starts, and it's got to change somehow.
They normally give it to them when they're babies, so maybe it's going to have a different effect on her being given to her as a teenager.
Yeah. So she turns the tables on Edgar, and she then she says, at this press conference, Homelander's come to me and as a whistleblower, and he's given me some information that Edgar is doing some underhand things. So he gets sort of charged with whatever. We don't really say what the actual charges are really, but
no.
Corruption or something.
But Homelander's turned the tables, and he's watching from the tower building with the other suits, and they're like, "Oh my god," thinking it was going to be something to get him, but it's backfired again. And he's like, "Well, this is a superhero company; it should be run by a superhero." Namely.
So that's another thing. So they had this. Stan had some authority over him.
Yeah,
that has gone.
Yeah.
Starlight had the video, that has gone. So gradually, step by step.
Yeah, he says at the end of that, doesn't he? Anyone who was hiding behind his skirt has got nowhere to hide now, sort of thing. So it's kind of, I'm in charge, like it or lump it, sort of thing. Butcher goes to Frenchie's former sort of employer, this Russian sort of woman, little Nina. And he's trying to get some details on where to find this weapon. This bit I sort of lost a little bit of track with, because they need to go to this other Russian guy or something and
kill him.
And she'll then give them the information.
Yeah.
So
he sends payment for the.
Yes, I see. Yeah, the Kamiko goes in as a pretend prostitute and goes in there.
Slaughtered everybody.
There's this big fat guy.
Yeah.
With his harem, if you
That's
like.
Right.
And what else is he going to do apart from show that he's got a collection of dildos all modeled in the likeness, the colors of the 7. So he's got these, and they're all got different shapes and angles and points and whatnot. And
they're all predominantly one shape, actually.
Well, they've got additions and bits and bit attachment, and she uses them.
Yes,
to kill.
She starts using them and whacking people in the head with them.
I thought it was quite interesting, that scene, because we haven't seen her fight like that before. Normally, it kind of pans away. She's killed everyone, and it comes back, and she slaughtered everyone.
Yeah,
and she didn't fight as well as I thought. She wasn't as vicious or as deadly as I thought she was going to be.
Okay. Okay.
I think in the first
Thought her
series, you're
using
right.
the dildo to smash it through the guy's head was quite bad.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in the first season, it seemed like there was a bit of mystique around her superpower.
Yeah, she was she was almost animal-like, wasn't she?
Yeah.
In how she would jump from surface to surface.
That's true.
There was an element of that, but
See it.
I think the reality of it is, how do you kill someone up close like that? It probably looks like that. She doesn't have any claws or anything. Her power is she's invulnerable, isn't she?
And strong. But I thought that
like a wolf.
I thought it might be a bit more vicious, or a bit more like her eyes went white and she got looks a bit crazy.
Yeah. I mean, she gets shot in the head, doesn't she, by one of the prostitutes. Yeah. And she forces the bullet out of her skull like Wolverine did back in the X-Men. So there's direct links between some of the... Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, she obviously does the job, and they find out where to go and find this weapon, supposedly. Starlight, so she's approaches Supersonic again, and she obviously, now that Homelander's sort of turning the tables on everybody, she tells him we're going to try and kill him, and there's supposedly some weapon, and don't want to tell you too much because it will be in trouble. But he makes a mistake. He goes and then he sees A-Train being abused, doesn't he, by Homelander, and when they're in the lift, he starts to talk to him and tell him about the plan, which totally backfires later on.
He does this as a whim. He's not told to do this by Starlight.
No.
He just suddenly comes up with the idea
because
he's trusting.
Yeah. And they kind of sort of pitching it like, we need to try and all attack him at the same time, and then someone can use the gun on him, to sort of distract him. Maeve is sort of saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in there on my own, sort of thing. I might be able to get one or two hits in, but give them just enough time to use this weapon, So the boys then prepare to sort of go to this facility. Was it a Russian facility? I can't remember if it was a Russian or not. But
I think it was.
Yeah. So obviously Butcher prepares, he takes the old drug again. And Huey,
and he tells Huey not to.
Yeah. Huey comes in and sort of sees him doing it, and he says, "Don't you fucking doing it? I'm not. This is my sort of, you're too good a lad, and all this."
Yeah.
And
at that point, Huey has been in. He's always been pictured as the weak one. Starlight always saves him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's pretty predictable at this point that he's going to take it. Yeah. He's going to get it somehow because he's always been in this kind of weak position.
When he says to him, "I want to take it. I want to take it because I don't want to be."
I've always been weak. I've always been the one who's been saved. Yes. But you see, that is very much the essence of that character, because he's the last decent person in the show, along with Starlight. And even then, Starlight has had to manipulate the game quite a bit along the way. So she's not perfect.
No.
But Huey has been pretty straight the whole way through.
Yeah. Pretty straight. There's been a few things where they killed that invisible man at the beginning. That was quite funny.
Yeah, that was messy.
Then there's a little scene where Edgar and Homelander meet in the sort of a room in the top of the tower, and Edgar basically gives him a last sort of diss.
Oh, it's brilliant. Brilliant. That scene is so good.
Yeah, basically calling him a defective product, and Homelander has no comeback to it, but he's obviously out, and he's saying, "You can have it. You won't enjoy it. You won't enjoy being the boss. That's not the role for you." So I mean, head back to the boys. They're now going in. They break into this place. They go into this facility. They come in this room, this dingy room, and they look in this little window, and there's a little hamster in there. And
it's apparent from the outset that there's been sort of experiments have been going on.
It's an experiment place, isn't it? Yeah. Experimented on. And so they see this little hamster, and it smashes it's like smashing against the glass.
Jamie the hamster.
Is it Jamie? And so suddenly the alarms go off, and attacked by these guys. There's quite a few of them, and they're all shooting, and they're all kind of, and Huey looks at Butcher, and he just stands up, and he's the bit where he's striding across. He's like, you know, he's got like this really sort of like, fucking hell, my testicles are so big now, you know, they're hanging right on the floor, and the bullets are bouncing off him, and then
he's loving it.
Using his laser, his eye,
and everyone's like, what?
Because the other members of the group don't know.
They don't know anything about it,
and they're like, no, stay back. And he's kind of like, walking out
slow mo, and he's coming out
the old lasers. Really good effects. I thought it looked really very real how they did it.
There's some good
because you know the actor
Carl
Urban, he's got all this thick hair, and he's got the thickest hair I've ever seen on a human being.
Yeah.
Out of that comes this bright orange laser, and it looks so effective.
It's good, isn't it? It's done really well. Yeah, and so he kills everybody, and then there's a bit where you see Huey. He kind of does he teleport? He's kind of like that's the power that he has when he takes V. So he's always taking the V. He pops out of his clothes. They always like to.
So he teleports, but his clothes don't go with him.
That's right. He can't teleport anything else. He can only teleport his body, unfortunately. And he punches through this soldier that's just about to kill Mother's Milk.
He's got some strength as well. You know.
Yeah, he's got strength as well. Yeah.
You know. So he punched through this guy, and he's like, oh, you know, like whoa, you know. But yeah, his little teleportation thing was quite funny.
It was.
Yeah. Then they look around and they see this sort of container, sort of like a vault, you know, like a scientific vault so Butcher rips the door off because he's got the strength now. And in there, out comes a bit like bloody Wolverine, you know, it's a bit like Wolverine wearing his weaponette.
The Winter Soldier.
Or the Winter Soldier, yeah.
You
know, he comes out,
Captain America.
Captain America.
And he's like, Soldier Boy, you know. And
at that point, Ian said, "Why couldn't if he could rip the door off? Why couldn't Soldier Boy rip the door off from inside?"
Yeah, and I think that what happens was that there was like a gas type substance inside the room.
Yeah,
and the fact the machine was operating properly. Yeah. Before Butcher ripped the door off, I think it kind of released all that.
So there's something that's making him become not powerful because he's super strong.
Maybe.
No, I think
but then
unconscious.
Can't they use that on Homelander? Whatever they're doing to restrain him wouldn't restrain him because he's super strong.
Well, they've actually the thing about this new incarnation of Soldier Boy is they have altered Soldier Boy themselves through experimenting on him.
Yeah, he's not exactly. And he's stronger.
So whatever happened to him originally when they thought he was killed, they've got hold of him and put him in this thing. And somehow he's got that mask on, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that he is in some way gassed. Now, I guess on some level, if they could hold Homelander still for any length of time and maybe put that to his face, if they could do that, maybe that might knock him out. It might not. But I guess we'll see.
I know what you mean.
There's a flaw.
Totally unexplained.
There's definitely a flaw.
But it's one of those plot hole things that you just kind of You don't know
see how he got in it, did we? So I guess we would just
we have to ignore it.
Did he have some sort of drug in his arm? But then how did they get the stuff in his arm? I don't know. The long and short of it is
he comes out,
doesn't he?
He's come out stronger.
Yeah, and he kind of like, again, he's naked too. And suddenly you see the sort of things vibrate on the ground, don't they? Sort of, and he like blasts, like this big blast comes out of his chest, and it hits Kamiko and throws her through a couple of walls. And then he just walks off, doesn't he? He sort of just stumbles off, you know.
And she doesn't. She's not healing.
Yeah.
She's got a thing in it. Why didn't they pull that out to help her heal?
Well, I don't know. It may be that they didn't want to pull it out because it might kill her. I don't know.
She's indestructible.
Well, this is the thing. So this is it.
Yes.
Her power has been taken by this blast.
Yes.
That the Soldier Boy has fired at her.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
Well, this is
I think
this
that's
is
a potential.
She lost her
I think that's a
power.
potential.
I think that is maybe a temporary loss.
Yeah.
So it weakens, and you see this with some heroes. Their powers can be weakened temporarily by some force or power, and I think that this is all about Soldier Boy being the means by which they weaken the Homelander.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's
how
why
I
they've done
feel
this.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I took that from this. I thought maybe that bolt did suck her power somehow, or did something to her, to make her suddenly, because she was dying basically, wasn't she? They were taking her back in the van. They got her back in the van. And they were driving off, and she was dying. They didn't sort of explain where Soldier Boy went, did they? He just walked off.
It's interesting because at the same time they've announced a 4th season.
Yeah. Because
the 4th episode was released.
It doesn't mean though that they'll kill Homelander, does it? They may weaken him.
They can't kill Homelander if there's going to be a 4th season.
No,
he's the main character. So that almost ruins this season by saying he's not going to die, which we thought that's what they were trying to achieve.
Well, so you could look at it that way, but you could also look at it like the fact that we love Homelander for who he is and what he is in the show.
Yeah.
And he will live on. In what form or shape we have yet to see, but it will be interesting to see what it is that they do to him and how they tame him. And we don't really he's such a good baddie, that we
I just,
you don't want him to die. You might want him to get badly injured, and then he can make a comeback. I think that might be the case. They might be able to weaken him so much and fight him, but somehow he gets away. He could just fly off, couldn't he? But as he gets away, badly injured, and perhaps he has to then come back in the 4th series, and
Soldier Boy will weaken him, and then Butcher will
This is what you think? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you're right. A lot of the characters are on a crash course, aren't they?
Yeah.
To disaster. I mean, arguably, every single character in the show could be killed.
Absolutely.
In the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Because they're all in really perilous situations.
Yeah, so there's 8 episodes in total. So we've got 4 more episodes, and they're 1-hour episodes.
Right.
So that's still a lot to cover.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're also, there's some interesting little stats online. Over the last 3 days since season 3's June the 3rd debut, the worldwide viewership for The Boys has grown 17% from season 2 and 234% from season 1.
Wow.
So massive growth.
Yeah.
So they're doing they've done the Diabolical cartoon spin-off series, and they're doing a series set in a college.
Oh, right.
With some younger superheroes.
Okay.
But we're still within the same Boys universe, and they're filming that, and they've been actually doing some recasting and all sorts of different things. So that is going to be aired next year. So that's well underway, and it feels like it's the adult elements have definitely drawn a lot of people into the show, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, the last bit of the episode, obviously, we saw, Soldier Boy walking off, but then there's a bit where Homelander and Starlight come out of some sort of event. There were all the photos being taken, and he says, "Oh, why don't we go for a fly? Let's go for a little fly together. Do you want to see us fly together?" And then they fly off. He says, "I've got a good view to show you." And he goes up to this roof, and he says, "Look at the view. Isn't it wonderful?" And there's the body of Supersonic. He's been obliterated by Homelander, and he says, A-Train came to me and told me that you're all plotting for my downfall, and he says, "Look, from now on, that's it. No more plotting, no more, you've got to do as you're told. I'm in command, and you've got to listen to everything I say. So stop making your plans,
otherwise this will be Huey."
Oh, this will be Huey, exactly.
I think that's an interesting bit, because it's another thing that's been dropped. It's another sort of element of the stranglehold they had over the Homelander, and it's gone. I mean, she realizes now that she can't really do much. It's going to be in the hands of Huey and his team that are now a thing. But it's also interesting because A-Train betrayed them. But there's this storyline with A-Train that his heart has been weakened and that he really cannot go to supersonic speeds without dying. But that says to me there may be salvation for A-Train. I think that he's got, in a sense, one final act that he can perform. Now, what's that going to be? He's going to have to do his super speed and save someone or do something.
Yeah.
Because I think that is on the cards.
You think he'll sacrifice himself?
I think maybe that will be his salvation.
Come to terms and suddenly realize I need to do the right thing for once.
Yeah, I'm a superhero.
Maybe.
And what about Deep and his wife? That's a whole weird. But there's obviously more going to happen with them. His wife's got some sort of agenda. For sure. I do. I think it's more subplot than anything. I think that he could just die a nasty death, to be honest, and it'll be satisfying in a way.
I think the Deep might be the only one that's left at the end.
Yeah.
He always gets into these strange positions, doesn't he? But he never gets totally killed or anything. I kind of think he might be the last one standing,
I don't know. I think they're kind of lying. We'll see. But
just as a joke at the end, and but but it's interesting what you're saying about viewership going up and people being more interested in it. I've really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good 4 episodes.
I thought the 4th episode was excellent, and after the first 3 I didn't feel the same way as I did after watching Stranger Things. I was absolutely captured by Stranger Things. With this, it took time to get into it. After episode 4 I was much more I'm looking forward to seeing the next episode now. But I
agree.
I thought this was
needlessly gory sometimes, and I don't think the plot is as deep as Stranger Things, for example, that was the other thing we've just been watching. But I mean, I do like it. I think it's a great idea having superheroes who are corrupt. It's great.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that is difficult with The Boys is it has become incredibly dark.
Yes.
It's not just the violence. What we're seeing is a series of characters who are all becoming corrupt in some form or shape. There's very little light in this show. Obviously, pun intended, because there's Starlight, but she's the only light really that's there. And I think that ultimately, if you sell yourself to this series, you're kind of selling out a little bit, and you're kind of indulging in the gratuitous violence that is part of the show. And if you completely 100% love this, then you really do love the bad stuff. And it would sort of deep down. I think it's one of these questions. It's like
no. I think
you be drawn into this darkness?
I think you're thinking a bit too seriously about it. It's a dark comedy, isn't it?
I think that the dark comedies are the deepest.
I think the gratuitous stuff, like we were saying earlier, it's not real. It doesn't look real because it's all just a big. There was only one bit where the guy blew up from out of his, that was pretty. I thought that was a bit gross, good
sound effects on that one.
And but I kind of think this is what it's about. It's this dark comedy, it's poking fun at a lot of these things, and it's not meant to be serious, but
it deals with some really serious issues.
It does, but
all the way along, and it feels. I think that it's taken it to another level. This series, it really has got really dark.
I think because the first series was great, and that really set it going. The second series kind of dipped, and I think they thought we've got to compensate now. So we're going to make it harder, going to make a few things harder, and we're going to, as in darker and that sort of thing. I think that's why it's gone that way. But I'm kind of glad it did, because I was a bit. The second series was okay, and they needed to return to form somehow. There were some pretty dark things in the first series, They stick a bomb up that guy's arse and blow him up from inside, don't they? Stuff like
it's
that.
Not as bad as having a man go in a man's penis and blow up.
No.
Yeah, they take it to the next level.
That was really just to sort of wake you up, wasn't it? In the first episode,
yeah,
just to sort of wake you up a bit and say, "This is what we're doing. We're doing some gross out shit here. Get used to it." Straight away, blow up out of his dick. Yeah, that's like, and for someone to think that up as well, you sort of think, God, you've got a really must have a bit of a twisted brain, to come up with this thought of
we are looking into someone's twisted brain when we see this show. We're looking into their brain, and we're being desensitized towards all this stuff that is being presented towards us, which is part of society. I mean, I have got teenagers, and I'm like, oh, I don't know whether I really want any of them watching this show, but 2 of them are old enough to watch it. So
have they watched it?
I don't think they have, actually. No. I think they may have watched the first 2 seasons, but this one, I don't know. They might do. But the youngest, definitely.
I'm not sure the younger audience is the audience that they're aiming for. I think it's for more our sort of age. 30, 40. 50,
I mean, the people that made this,
Toby.
The people. I'm not quite 50 yet. The people who make this, the brothers who made Stranger Things, are our age, and they are very much into that 80s retro feel, and that comes through this entire show as well. Let's not forget that there's
I like all that. Like we were talking before, I like all the sort of that they have those adverts and things, and there's like the branding and part of the corporate, how corporate things always go corrupt and all that sort of thing. You see a lot of that today, don't you, in just in our world, and I think that's a big part of what they're trying to say. It's the old power corrupts, isn't it?
And it's corrupting them all, and that's what this is an essay on. This is about it's looking at how different types of power can corrupt the characters in this show. They're all striving for power.
Well,
it'd be interesting to see what they do with Soldier Boy.
Yes,
definitely.
And whether he's going to be a goodie or a baddie.
You can't tell, can you? He's just
no.
But I think that's the thing. It's not goodies and baddies, is it? They're all just self-interest, aren't they? They're all whatever they want. They'll have it sort of attitude, aren't they? Like I said before, they just kill, stand by innocent people. That it doesn't even clock in their brains, does it? When they do something and they kill someone, oh well, it's just another normal person dead.
I think as well, we don't know where it's going to go, because there is a natural character arc with some of them, but I think that it's unpredictable. I think that's one of the things.
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a fight between Homelander and
Soldier Boy.
Butcher.
No, and
Butcher.
Billy.
I think.
Butcher.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. It would be disappointing for me if it ended up with Butcher and Homelander fighting out in the last 20 minutes of the show. I just think that's just too predictable.
No, I think it will come before that, and I think it will be a sort of standoff. And then it will be somehow we've got to utilize Soldier Boy. We've got to get hold of him and get him onto our side somehow, to have a bit of a, everybody come together and grab hold of Homelander and try and hit him with this blast.
I mean that's where it looks, feeling. Isn't it? But I just want to be surprised by whatever the ending is.
And maybe
I don't want it to be, oh, you hold him like every other superhero film, and like Thanos. I just don't want that. I want it to be something different than the original, like it has been quite a lot the way through here. I'm just hoping something unexpected happens. We'll see.
No,
let's see.
Good.
Great.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks guys for talking about it tonight. Obviously the next episode's on Friday. They're weekly for Friday. And I'm sure we'll be talking about more of the series in the future. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what we're saying, obviously press the like button and subscribe. Put any comments in the comments section below, and we'll see you again soon.